Hello. How are you today, Rodney?
Hi. I never answer the question.
You never do.
I just cut it off, but I want to talk about activated charcoal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. No, I'm pretty sure we've never talked about activated charcoal.
I don't know. It sounds familiar, but we talk a lot. So.
You've taken it when you took.
Oh, I
diatomaceous
have.
earth,
Yeah, that's
when you
right.
took
It
DE.
absorbs all the toxins.
It's
released.
a toxin absorber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a toxin absorber that can also be used if you've been like drinking alcohol. Oh, that's a crying baby.
Yeah.
If you've been like drinking like the day after and you need your stomach to feel better, you could take some DE. Sometimes I'll take like if I ate something that's kind of off, I will
not
take
DE, but
if I've just
charcoal.
The activated charcoal.
Yeah.
Also, if your dog eats caffeine or some toxin and you get to him quick, I just make my dogs eat activated charcoal.
Oh, nice.
Because sometimes that's what the vet will do.
And it's pill form.
They'll just charge you a lot more. Yeah.
Pill powder.
Pill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pill.
Break it open and everything.
Break it open.
Pill powder.
Pill powder.
Babies.
Pill.
Hi everyone, this is Rocky Voria. I'm an avid listener of the More in Common podcast and was also a guest on Season 1, Episode 29, titled Be Yourself and Believe in Yourself, and I'm happy to be introducing today's show. This is the More in Common podcast. Welcome. This is a place where we explore the fact that we have more in common than that which divides us by anchoring humanity in compassionate conversation. And here's one of the latest reviews from Jennifer Sutto. Jennifer said, "It was an honor being on Rodney and Keith's podcast show. They do an amazing job really diving deep, and I look forward to the episode with me and my twin sister, Steph, coming out. I've listened to several of their podcasts already, and I absolutely love their style of interviewing. Keep up the great work. You guys are awesome." Thank you, Jennifer. Looking forward to getting your episode out next week as well. Now remember, you can find all things More in Common at moreincommonpod.com. Their episodes, merchandise, blogs, and definitely, if you like what you hear, give them a like in your favorite podcast app and leave a review. We'll try to read it on a future show. And remember, share, share, share. This is Season 2 of 2020, and they have dubbed A Decade Possible. And Season 2 is Discovery. Today's episode is with Kathryn Hahn. Kathryn is incredibly transparent, and she talks so openly about so many things. In this conversation, a lot of insightful topics came up. Kathryn talked about being a recovering Catholic, being born into religion and her struggle embracing the religion, and what it means for her family now that she has children of her own. She also spoke about her childhood and her eventual pursuit of acting, the safety that she felt through theater. We heard her thoughts on parenting expectations, the pressure of how to give birth, accepting the process as it is, and deciding to have kids while balancing a career. I know you will enjoy today's episode as much as I did, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the amazing conversation with Kathryn.
Just not an option. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know if it was going to be, I didn't have like stars in my eyes. Like I didn't think, oh, Academy Award. Like I didn't have any end game. I just didn't have any option. Like it was just, that's what was going to, yeah. Like that was what was going to happen. Like I didn't have any. It was like I was like predestined for me that I was going to be an actor. Weirdly, like I had always felt like I could tell the truth. Weirdly, it was easier for me to tell the truth when I was acting than even like in real life for some reason.
Welcome back. Today we are with the amazing Kathryn Hahn. Now, Kathryn was born in Cleveland, OH.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I.O.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for you to finish that.
I was 5 steps behind.
And started acting. I was just testing to see if it would work. It didn't work.
No, it did not.
But started acting at an early age in the television show Hickory Hideout. She graduated from Northwestern and got her master's in fine arts from Yale. If you don't know her from her role in Crossing Jordan, she has played recognizable and leading roles in Anchorman, Step Brothers, Parks and Rec, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, We're the Millers, Afternoon Delight, the Bad Moms movies, and more recently she has starred in the Amazon original I Love Dick and the outstanding HBO show Mrs. Fletcher, which I'm a big fan of. Some cool new stuff on the horizon as well with the Marvel Disney TV original WandaVision on its way as she enters the Marvel Universe, which I'm a little bit jealous about because I want to be a part of the Marvel Universe. And that will be coming this winter in December 2020. So keep the eye on the ball for her joining the Marvel Universe. Now, she also has an HBO Limited Series coming April 27th, 2020. Again, that's premiering April 27th, 2020. It's a show, I Know This Much Is True. And she also has an Apple TV series premiering this summer, in summer of 2020, called Central Park. Definitely keeping busy. Kathryn is also a dedicated mom to her daughter and son and is married to our 2020 season 1 guest opener, Ethan Sandler. But we're super excited to be with you today, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, you guys.
We're all Big Ten graduates.
We're
Boilermakers,
Yeah,
and you're
Boilermakers.
What is Northwestern?
The Wildcats.
the Wildcats.
Wildcats.
It's embarrassing that it took me a second. I
I
never
should know
saw
that.
one game when I was there. They didn't really have a great.
They didn't. No.
While we were
still
there,
don't,
and then I
yeah.
think the second that we left, they had a great season, but we never saw any of it.
Yeah.
But
It's okay.
it's okay. But
We'll
I just
allow it.
went there last year, and they just built an enormous indoor stadium, which was incredible.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm in it.
It was a great bio.
Thank you. I played
was like,
for
I've done a
most of
lot.
it. Yeah.
I've done
Which-
things.
I've actually done some things,
You have
guys.
done-
There's a
you've-
body
you've-
of work there.
There is.
Right.
Yeah. But
My
that's not what we're
oeuvre.
going to talk
There's-
about to
Okay.
start.
Your CV.
Okay. So
My CVS pharmacy.
here's the deal. This is how we're going to get into it to start.
Okay.
Okay. You've done a lot of interviews. And one of the common things that you say is, I'm a recovering Catholic.
Yes.
Now, I understand you had a crush on Jesus.
I did real big.
Yeah.
He was my first.
Whoa.
He had
I want to know.
dreamy eyes, and you wrote him letters. Right?
Yeah.
But this whole recovering Catholic thing,
Let's start there.
let's start there.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I'll say this. I was born into a religion, like a lot of us, most of us are.
I like how you said that, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like we inherit it.
Yeah, we inherit a lot of things that are not ours.
Generational trauma.
Generational trauma, family constellations. It's an amazing kind of work. Just things that are not, our relationship to so many things that we inherit. My relationship with it was more community based, I think, than any kind of faith based. There was a lot of it that I meant a lot to me as a kid. We went to church every Sunday. I went to Catholic school up through high school. Had to wear the uniform, taught by nuns, taught by priests.
All girl school.
All girls school for high school.
Okay.
Did you go all the way through confirmation? And
Yeah.
Like all the whole. You did
I picked the name Michael, but just the kind of because I really didn't know what was happening, and I really thought it would be interesting to pick the name Michael,
funny,
the
interesting,
archangel.
Or interesting.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
And also who's the archangel, and also because it was just, there was something about it that just felt a little edgier
Edgy,
to me.
yeah.
And nobody stopped me, which I was like, this is so interesting. And I had some nuns that were incredibly important and formative to me as educators. And philosophers, like just beautiful minds. And I really admired their devotion and their commitment to a life of service. Like there was something in it that was really beautiful to me. They all lived in this house together. There was something though that I couldn't quite like. I just was like, my mind was like, you're married to God. Like, it was very interesting to me. I just couldn't, there was something about it that I just like, my brain just couldn't wrap my mind around, because also I had 2 gay uncles. And back then it was like, everyone was kind of like faking their way through it. Like they were not allowed, they both had long-term partners.
When you say everybody, do you mean
Like
everybody, all the Catholics.
Okay.
Like you were not like, and no one was allowed to really like embrace them. I didn't love it. Like that was not okay to me.
How did your family treat your uncles? Like,
I mean, my family,
did
they
you
were
see?
they were my uncles. Everybody loved them, but they were like, there was like this falseness around the church. Like it was like we would go there, but yet it was like I knew that there was like this weird hypocrisy about it that I was like, I just couldn't get behind. Then like my brothers went to like the brother school, and I just knew that it was like the homophobia there and like the sexism there and the like, just like what was being taught was just like, I just couldn't wrap my mind around the like the hypocrisy. Even if the individual schools were like, we're different than like the doctrine of the church. It was like, yeah, but you're still under the umbrella of like this church. And that's before I knew any of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's all come out lately, yeah.
Yeah, that was like,
Well, that's been around for a
it's
while.
been
yes, but before,
really
as a
come
kid,
out.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
totally.
any of it. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know, like,
But
when a priest
lately
that was
it's
all of a sudden was,
really-
like, disappeared and would show up in another parish.
Yeah.
Like, what that was
why?
really
What
all
that was
about.
actually
Yeah.
happened, right?
And I didn't know anything about that stuff, or I knew that there were altar boys, but there was not allowed to have altar girls. Like that was like, from my perspective, that didn't feel right. I knew that there was, I knew that when I was a little girl, I had to wear a bridal outfit to get First Communion when I had First Communion. And and then I would play dress up with it afterwards. But that's like a little bit fucked up.
Yeah, the imagery there.
It's a little
And
Yeah.
socializing. if
I
you
know
will,
it's
to
it's a
to
tricky
role,
thing because
right?
it's very important to a lot of people, and I
Yeah.
would never ever want to take away anybody's faith. Like that is whoever gives you comfort, like go man,
Like,
go.
own
Like
it,
I'm who am I to ever take? But for me, also the older I got, and the more like reproductive rights became more important to me, and the more I saw like how that was just such a sticking point in the church. Like it was really hard for me to wrap my mind around that. When I saw like how imperative Planned Parenthood was to me when I went to college, and I'm not talking like for abortion. I'm just saying for like just access to birth control,
Right.
like just health care for a young woman that had
basic
nowhere else
women's-
to go.
Yeah.
Like it just became bananas to me.
Yeah.
The like weighted favor for men.
What?
So
Yeah.
it was very hard for me to wrap my mind. That the gay rights, the trans rights, the
judgment of others.
the judgment of others was very in wrapped around the like our doors are open to all, but yet they weren't.
But not really. How long have you been a recovering? Because like, so you notice these things. Like how long would you say you've been a recovering Catholic?
I have taken my kids to mass for them to since they've been born. I mean, we haven't gone in a while, but they've been to a mass. Like they've been to a Catholic mass. Like there's a lot of beauty in it. Like again, like it's a part of the fabric of who I am. Like that's like a part of my personhood. Like I smell that frankincense and I'm like taken somewhere.
Which that actually reminds me of a little bit.
Totally.
I think what might be part of the reason I like it, which is strange because I
Me too,
don't
like-
actually identify with that anymore. But
Like I am really taken. Like when we were in Rome and which was amazing, and we went into the Vatican, and like saw those, like I totally forgot about those confessional boxes. Like I had this like weird like PTSD of like waiting in line trying to think of sins. Like so that I knew that I had to like say, like I was like, oh, I gotta have something. Like I had to like think of some sins, and like just waiting in line and like sit in there and talk to like that priest that I knew he knew who I was. I knew who he was. It was this fake pretend, like, you know, and I'd be like, I swore. Like I would always be like,
when I was
I
in
used
line
God's name
trying to
in
think of
vain.
something to say to you.
exactly.
I coveted. What like was there? So we had a cool interview. We did a cool interview last week. And the dude, my guy, asked us, like, was there a moment like when you knew?
Yeah, like when did this all transition and change?
Yeah, like was there a moment? I just thought you saying that about the confessional boxes. I couldn't answer the question last week, but now I know my moment for my questioning of Catholicism. But like, did you have like a moment where you're just like all this kind of coalesced into, nah, that's not for me?
You know, I think it was also watching my parents struggle with it.
Did they too inherit it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they weren't all in. And my mom would always say, like, she would always talk about how hypocritical people were in it. And so I always like kind of took that on.
So she kind of seeded that idea a little bit.
She seeded it because she could see like hypocrisy of like, and she remembers me saying, like, she just brought this up weirdly. She remembers me saying something like, why are Christian people always the meanest?
Man, isn't that the thing?
And
It's
I
like-
said that when I was a kid, and because someone had said something like, and she reminded me that I was very little when I had said that. It was just someone, you know, came over and said something, and
it's like the meanest person is the old church lady. Like, shouldn't she be the nicest?
yeah. And I don't think it's always necessarily
but
the
like,
truth,
that's
but
the stigma
that
of
is
it.
like the
Yeah.
thing that sometimes it can be like the most small-minded. Ironically, sometimes you could just be so wrapped up in justifying your own point of view that you cannot let any light in from, because if you puncture it, that means that you're wrong.
because you've identified with
Yeah,
it.
your
So
identity
Yes.
is tied to
if
it,
there's something off about it, then you're off. You're wrong. You're bad.
I used to think the same thing when I was a young mother and about the advice we would get about parenting. And it was always like, you get such judgment vibes.
Yes.
And it was,
We get them all the time.
People are so
and I
absolutist.
think it's
We're
literally
very-
just because if anyone were to say to you, like,
You're doing it wrong.
you're doing it. Oh, maybe I'm like, if someone were
Maybe
to,
we did it wrong.
yes,
Yeah.
then
Because
that,
when your
right.
parents say, "Well, this is how
Totally.
we did it," it's like, "Fuck
Well,
you!"
it's-
Like,
well,
I'm in
even
it right
so,
now, and we've learned new things.
When you do
Yeah,
something
the panic of
differently-
thinking you could have done it wrong is like such
It's
such
God
a
forbid.
It's
Yes.
like when
Y'all messed
grandparents
up with
say, "You turned out all right."
yes,
Right? It's like, yeah, but either way, like, you still shouldn't leave me in a hot car. Like, I know
Like-
I survived,
like,
but like,
when
the
you
odds
learn-
of me surviving were pretty low. You know, I made it, but
Yes,
I'm not
but
going to leave my
I
kids
think
in a
that's why
hot car,
the judgment
right?
of
Possible
other
to do
parents
better.
are. I think that's why people get so tight with
Yeah.
their own POV, because the like existential panic of having to admit that they could have
Made a
done it
mistake
wrong or
done
made a mistake,
something.
or not,
Yeah.
or even
Yeah.
or just have not been the only way. There's
Right.
other ways.
Right.
Is
Right.
such a panic that I
don't want to have
think.
bought into the wrong system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. With the thing I love the most in all the world, which is my child. It's like, it makes
Yeah.
total sense to
Totally.
me. But I think that has the same way with religion. Like, I
Yeah.
think, or politics or whatever,
Yeah.
name it. Like, I think it's just like I think that's why people hold on so fucking tight, because it's the other, to actually take a breath and be like, oh, it's really fucking scary. is terrifying.
So what does recovery then mean when you say it, or are you being
Alcohol.
flippant?
It just means going right total opposite way. Just prostitution of the self, nudity on television. It just means so much weed. No, it just I think it means
like weed.
I think it just means I just think it means just for me it just unfortunately meant a second of taking a breath to try to figure it out. There was definitely a decade of just like chaos.
Like, what does this all mean to
Yeah.
you? What does it mean to you now? Especially with your kids, because you
Yeah.
send them to Hebrew school, right?
No, we
Or
don't. We
did
had a
you?
rabbinical student that
okay.
we had, like some of the kids from his school. We had all gotten together with we had
It was
hired a
an
rabbinical student.
introduction
Yeah.
to it,
Real
but it wasn't
cash.
actual school.
No.
Yeah.
Because Ethan's Jewish.
Right.
But I think he has kind of a similar relationship to Judaism as I do. To
We got that vibe.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we're both kind of like struggling. Our 20s were definitely like not. And it's interesting, like our kids, the kids now that are growing up really without this to rebel against, like they have nothing to really rebel against. Like they have nothing. So this is a whole other set of circumstances for this generation, because it's not even like they have a religion to say no to. So they're like kind of in the void. So we're trying to like find something for him to, because I wish for him that, for my kids, because what I do miss for them is the like Sunday ritual of like
The
putting
routine
on the
and the
uncomfortable
community, like you
clothes,
said.
the having to sit there in silence facing forward, the like being, that, because that was
Yeah.
important. Like that's an important thing.
yeah.
Like even if it's
Yeah.
just like word salad, it's just like, I mean, I used to literally think it was thanks speedy God instead of thanks be to
Saying,
God.
Oh, thanks, Speedy
Thanks,
guy.
I thought it was
God.
thanks speedy God. I was like,
I mean, you
thanks
gotta
speedy
make it
God.
when you hear it,
And Sister Margaret Ann was like, what'd you say? And I was like, thanks speedy God. And she was like, no, it's thanks be to God.
Get it right.
That's
And I was
hilarious.
so busted. But so anyway, we're trying to like carve something out with ritual. Like, he's now at an age to be bar mitzvahed. And so we're trying to like find something that would make sense for him. We know it's a culmination ceremony. And so we're trying to like find some kind of work, something that he could do.
Now, do you talk about this with him? Like, and what's his take?
Does he
on
like
it?
miss out on the idea of being bar mitzvah because he has friends that are? Or?
No.
No.
It sounds like a lot. To him, it feels like a lot of pressure. But we're trying to we're trying to do something of service for him. Like we're trying to find something that he could do that's of service.
Yeah.
Something
And have some sort of celebration or party that would be a culminating event, with music or something that that would really mean something to him, that would be a culminating event of some sort of like work and service that he would do.
That's really cool. That's a
Of,
really
like,
cool idea.
Learning of like, of some sort of research on different faiths or religion and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. We'll see.
What? I'm sorry. I gotta go back to this.
No, it's
Crush on Jesus.
I don't know if I answered your question on being a recovering Catholic.
I don't.
I think. Well, for my part, you did, but
I have more questions. So
I
if you
just
wanna
wanna know
go
about the
back,
Jesus crush.
because like
I'm just a
and the
bottomless
reason-
pit, you
well, the
guys.
reason
It's
I because I didn't have that ritual or any of that.
You didn't
right?
have
And
any religion?
No. Well, I had sort of religion that I didn't have to really participate in
Yeah.
or do any. So I'm curious to understand your ritual now and like what it is that you think is important about it.
I mean, now that I'm 46, it feels like to me, I need community, whatever that means. But
that was important to you then too, right? Mm-hmm. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be, and I need like we all do, like some sort of like higher something that just means something bigger than all of us.
We talked about that today.
Yeah, just like something that
we did.
means something bigger than all of it, to just keep reminding us that of perspective, so that it's just like all of the tiny crap can just continue to fall away when you feel burdened by the minutia that it just doesn't matter. That it none of it matters. None of it matters. Just so whatever that is. Yeah.
That duty that we were talking about duty today.
Oh, yeah.
The responsibility to something.
Yeah.
Even
Bigger
if it's
than you,
yours,
like your
higher
kids.
self, like you have an aspiration to be something, and you're not
Yes.
living to that idea.
Yes.
Even,
Yes. And that and then just to keep reminding you, as hard as it is, of just mortality, just to keep looking at, reminding you of death, because that is what religion is
a very good reminder.
So just like that to keep that's all it is. It's just to keep reminding you that none of it matters, because
we all end up in the same place.
Yeah. That someone had given me this image last week of just always imagine this room without you in it. Like always just keep picturing this room without you in it. Like one day this room will not have you in it. And this is such a great thing to just always just be like, okay, right. It doesn't
you
matter.
find that thought grounding.
It is terrifying, and it is, but it can be terrifying, but it can also be really perspective shifting of just like what really matters. Like when anxiety, when ego, when, narcissism, like when any of the human words start to cloud your line of vision of what really matters. It's great to keep remembering, oh, right, it's going to be just, who cares, dust to dust. Catholic phrase, but it all goes back. Gotta give them that, give them that.
Ashes to ashes.
It leaves its part. But
No, listen.
To your point.
It leaves a mark. Like I can still recite all of it.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I haven't done it in.
But it's deep stuff. There's something about it that is deeply, deeply important. And then there is some stuff that is just never penetrated deep enough for me. And it was the body of Christ. It was there was just too much of it that was is so important to so many people.
Yeah.
And I just was too questioning of, and I don't mean that to sound like that. I should rephrase that, because
You're not
it
being
actually
contrarian.
No, it sounds like I was too because I really wasn't. It's not like it just didn't it just, for some reason,
something you never connected to.
I just didn't connect to it.
Yeah.
Did you have a hard time in doing that, finding yourself at an early age then? Do you think? I've been thinking about this a lot for myself lately, because self-identity, and you talk about the generations and the imparting of how you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be in the ecosystem that you're in. And it's like you go through this early stage development, and then you have no idea who you actually are, because you're serving everybody else, or you're doing what everybody else is telling you to do. And then you hit 37 and wait a second, where am I? What am I doing right now, right?
For sure. Yeah. No, I empathize with that a lot. I have, it's taken me a long time. For sure. I was, how do I describe it? Yes. I mean, I think I was, I'm the oldest. I have two brothers. It was a loud childhood. Everybody very funny. If you met us on the surface, you would just be like, oh my God, they're hilarious. It's one of those families, very, very funny, very witty. But just lots going on, a lot going on. And it didn't really like explode until I was like in my 20s, but it was like there happening like
brewing under
a lot. And so we were containing a lot. And I think it's no surprise to me in looking back, like it was really no decision for me that it was like I was like predestined for me that I was going to be an actor. Weirdly, like I had always felt like I could tell the truth. Weirdly, it was easier for me to tell the truth when I was acting than even like in real life. For some reason, it took me a while to like get to that weird like realization.
When you say the truth, like what do you like? You
like
were
I
able to
always felt like I was
express
saying
yourself?
something for someone else all the time in real life. Like to your point of just like just like keep every
I gotta
plate
be what
in the
you
air.
need.
Yeah,
Like,
like every
yeah,
plate in the
yeah.
air. And then when I was acting, I could finally be like,
You could, like it was your emotion,
like just like
even if it was
pissed
a
at
different
you.
actor.
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? I could be
you were
like,
channeling
fuck
it.
you,
Yeah.
like man,
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
could
Who
finally
cares
just
what
be
you
like a
need? Let me-
monster. Like I could just be a monster.
Yeah.
And like get applause for it. And it was like, ooh, this feels fucking awesome.
Yeah, I get to be me in this
Yeah.
situation. I actually get to be myself.
And so that felt so fucking good.
Yeah.
So in that way, and was it kind of therapeutic?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not saying it was healthy in any goddamn way, but
I'm not necessarily recommending
I'm not saying
it.
that's
Yeah.
the way
This isn't
into
the way
acting
to
for
act.
anybody.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. The way
But
for
it
people
was-
is different, right? Like
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
you get there's the way you got there.
But it felt, and it also felt, again, community and church. It felt like I'd worked at the Cleveland Playhouse,
Yeah.
which back then was like the scrappy, like it was the best. Now it's been like taken over by the Cleveland Clinic, but back then it was like the most holiest of spaces on Carnegie, and it was just like this gorgeous, a couple of theaters, and they were like dusty and gorgeous, and just to be with a group of like sweaty actors, barefoot, long toenails, like, you know, whatever, just like on a dusty stage, like making something out of nothing. I was like, the idea of being in that kind of ensemble that felt so safe, that we like everyone just like had each other. Like that was like the church to me. Like that was like that feeling was like
Safety.
the sacred.
Non-judgment.
Non-judgment.
Just everybody's doing it, and
It felt totally safe. I knew
Yeah.
everybody's like a gent. Like because no one was trying to do anything but just like make something.
yeah.
So it just felt so pure, and so that was like the holiest of holies.
How did you find acting? Did you stumble
you said
upon it? Like,
predestined in a way?
Yeah.
It
you
felt
said-
that way. I mean, honestly, it was kindergarten, and I started taking a class at school at St. Anne's, and then I think I just loved it so much, and then I think I don't exactly remember the timing, but I did something at St. Anne's called, there was a little play at church called Salty the Psalm Book, and I played Salty.
Was it spelled P.S.?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. It sounds right.
And let's just say I had a big cardboard box on, and I was salty.
And you were salty.
Salty the Psalm Book. And then salty. And then the beginning. And then I
Salty the Psalm Book. I'm writing that. That's going written down. I'm writing
someone
that in
else
the
had
book
asked me
section.
about Salty the Psalm Book. Someone else had done the same part, and I can't remember who he was when he was so great. He's an NPR guy, and he was like, "Did you also play Salty?" And I was like, "I did." And it was like something we bonded on, which was kind of crazy. So he was the only
NPR
other
guy.
person.
Jesse Thorne.
I'll find him. But anyway,
Larry.
it was very fun.
Was it Tom?
Anyway, so we then so I went from there to the just never really stopped. I was at the Cleveland Playhouse, and then I did that show Hickory Hideout.
When did it feel like you liked it, obviously, so you kept doing it,
Right.
but like when did you identify how much you liked it?
I mean, I always I would go home from school and just I wouldn't come up for air until dinner, and then I'd go back into it. Like I just would
So
not.
it was just
Yeah.
it became you.
Yeah, I just would just play pretend.
Yeah.
Like unless I was needed for other things, I would just like go. I would just go so deep, just deep in.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, like, there's this path in your career, taking a pivot out of religion.
Sure.
That, because we talk about this a lot, just being in this place for the first time in our lives, that it's like we got to go after something. You've said it before, one foot in front of the other, take one step at a time. Like, you were waitressing in the 20s before you decided to take out debt and go to Yale.
Not the 20s, but her 20s.
Her 20s.
In
Did I say
the 1920s.
Did I say the 20s?
You said the 20s.
You know, you had your...
I'm
you could
Was it
vote.
the
You just got the
110
right
years
to
old.
vote.
Was it the Roaring 20s?
I look
just got the right to
fantastic.
vote. You do.
You look
know?
great.
Thanks.
What was it like to get
Thanks,
the
I'm
right
sure.
to vote right at
Thanks,
the time? you know?
cryogenics.
Yeah, okay.
Brilliant. But in your 20s,
Yes.
like, how a lot of us, everybody, you have a dream, you have a passion,
Yeah.
and you just okay, this isn't happening. Right? I'm gonna go get a job. But you just kept going. You took out debt, and you
Did
keep
I took
going,
out a lot of debt?
and your career
Crazy.
has been great, but it has recently taken off.
No,
Like, you
it's
have
weird.
been
I
on
was
this-
crazy.
You're an overnight
this
success. How many years in the
grind,
making?
and you just
Perpetually
keep going.
underrated.
Like, how have you done it? Like, where does this?
Is that why
where
you
does
like
this come from
sequoias?
you?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of rings.
Like, this is how you see yourself, but
Yeah.
like everybody else is like, got to get on board.
Maybe that's why I like a sequoia.
We'll figure out why.
I honestly like, it's funny because I was, it was after Northwestern. Ethan and I moved to New York. I was not really I only waitressed, to be clear, for a hot minute. I hated it. At Joe Allen's, I was not good at it. I just couldn't. I just was not built
not
for
your
it.
thing.
No.
No.
Took it all too personally. I couldn't handle it. I was like, oh God, shared tips. Couldn't handle it. I was like, this is a
Shared
nightmare.
tips.
Tough.
Yeah, I was like, this
Yeah.
is rough.
Yeah, I'm working too hard for this.
Yeah, everyone's sitting in the back
And someone's
smoking. I was
yelling
like,
at
are
me.
you
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
kidding me?
You're getting paid
I'm the
for
one
this?
getting yelled at out here.
My
Yeah.
God. It was, but then I worked at a hair salon. My cousin hooked me up with a job at this really, really fancy hair salon called Gara in New York, they were so lovely to me. But I was working, like, we were going to get the backstage, which was like a magazine. Do you guys remember? No, you don't, but it's a newspaper. Oh my God, guys.
We're just,
Wait, what?
no.
This is back in the 20s.
It's more, yeah.
It's called a newspaper.
Yeah. Oh,
it
tell me
was.
more.
It's a thin piece
Like,
of paper.
is it online? Or?
It is.
Is it
You
on
would go
Instagram?
down to the village. It's
Hey,
called.
you have to talk to the town clerk.
You have to talk.
Yeah,
This is
there's
back
a little
like
kid slinging
the
them.
town
You would
in
have
the
to-
20s. Yeah.
you just steal it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Hear
On the
ye,
fifth.
audition on. You would bring your. This is back like when you didn't. You would like if you had to. If you would put a quarter in the frickin' phone booth.
Yeah. One
And
of those
if you-
I've
things.
used those.
If
I've
you
used
wanted
those. Oh, God, I
to
use those all the
save your
time.
money from if you were like gonna get your messages, if you wanted to save your quarter from your answering service to see if like you had an audition or a call back,
Oh, yeah.
if it rang, then you would just hang up and get
Get
your
the quarter before it picked up.
And then if it picked up, you knew that you had a
Yeah,
message.
Yeah.
You know what I
Anyway,
used to
little
do?
tips.
In middle school,
Yeah.
my parents were not about the pager life because that was pager time, not cell phone.
We had pagers
Yes.
in high school. Kids had pagers in high
Oh,
school.
And
yeah,
I
that
never
was so
carried
cool.
a quarter. I think
Yeah.
my parents told me to always have money on me, but I never did. They never gave it to me.
Yeah.
The fuck is that? And so I would call 1-800-COLLECT, and my
yeah.
name was "Come Get Me."
Yeah, no, totally. I
You
used
ever
to
call-
do
Oh
that.
my
God, that's
I used to do that
hilarious.
stuff all the time.
That's
We used to- Yeah, I do that stuff all the time in high
genius.
school.
I'm
yeah.
ready.
Yeah, yeah. I'm at school right now.
Wait, that's
I'm
a
done.
brilliant idea.
Yeah, collect.
That was my moment. That was
Do
my
people
moment.
still call collect?
Can you?
I don't even know if you
Well,
can.
where's
Yeah.
the payphone?
I mean, they still exist.
Where?
In places.
They do exist.
But I mean, you have to like if you go somewhere, you have to. Do you guys have payphones? Because I mean, some do. I think
you
airports
do, but
still
then you
do.
also feel like you just want to be like, ooh, where's my wet wipe?
Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to
Yeah, I want to
Just
just douse
the-
it
Yes.
with
Yeah.
sanitizer.
all of it.
Yeah.
Especially with Corona going around.
yeah.
It's in Italy now, guys. Like
It's
a lot in
everywhere
Italy.
now,
Yeah. They shut down schools for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brutal. So where does that grind come from?
The
I think that's
hustle.
really like that hustle,
Okay, so-
like that just commitment to do it.
I just knew it, guys. It's so weird. So anyway, so New York, going to get the backstage, we would go, like, you would find, that's where you would find your auditions. Like, so it was like a lot of, I mean, I didn't have an agent, I didn't have anything. But that's like just what you do. Like, you just go to New York and hustle for these off Broadway shows. We did Williamstown Theater Festival in the summer, which is kind of big. And then I got into Yale when I was like late. It was like 27, which is kind of older because most kids get in right out of college.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no big deal. Just saying.
You know,
but I mean, it was like a scrappy, beautiful class. Like, we were all really, it was like, I loved my class so much because it was very scrappy, not all young ingenues. It was like not all camera ready, you know what I mean? Like, everybody was like scrappy and just like no one was like cookie cutter. It was like the best group of people. And took out a shit ton of loans. And every time I got a piece of pizza up at New Haven, I was like, oof, this is going to be $28 one day. Like, I knew it.
I got lost in New Haven
It's
once
28.
for a baseball game in college, and not at Yale. I
But
got
like in
lost
New Haven. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't fun for me.
It is a really interesting town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, like, you want to talk about dividing lines.
It's
Like, you
shifts very
step
fast.
off of Yale
No,
campus,
it's
and it
complicated.
is a totally different
It's like
environment.
UC
It really is.
downtown Chicago.
It's very, no, it is, this is like, it would be like going from
Like USC
a
downtown.
city to a dusty plain. Like, just over a line.
Oh.
Like, and I'm not saying it's empty and barren. It's just culturally, they're two different places.
Wow.
New Haven
Yeah.
and Yale. Yeah. At least my experience.
It's
wait,
complicated.
In
Yeah.
that, you like, as you were saying that, you said, I just knew it. Like, you just knew that this was for you and it was going to work, or like
you just knew this is what you were going to do, no matter how
there was just
successful
not
it was.
there was just not an option. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know if it was going to be, I didn't have like stars in my eyes. Like, I didn't think, oh, Academy Award. Like, I didn't have any end game. I just didn't have any option. Like, it was just, that's what was going to,
Is that or bust?
yeah. Like, that was what was going to happen. Like, I didn't have any.
I think.
And I didn't think, like, I remember somebody saying, like, oh, you're going to lose your ingenue years. And I was like, ingenue years? Like, but
Yeah.
I'm not I knew enough to know, like, that was not my currency. Like, I knew enough to know, like, I wasn't going to be, that's not what was, like, that, this was not going to be, like, I didn't care enough. Like, that was never going to be, I just had enough, like, awareness and actually, quite frankly, like, didn't give a shit enough about that.
Like, enough, like...
No, I just didn't give a shit about that. Like, I was like, I didn't care about that crap. Like, I was like, those parts are not as interesting to me. Like, I was never going to, like, try to be something that was, like, that clearly it just wasn't, like, try to be in that mold. It just wasn't interesting to me. Like, because honestly, when it happened, when I did come out here and I did try to do that, it was really a weird chapter and didn't feel good. Like, when I was, like, in that best friend chapter, like, didn't feel myself. And I'm grateful to those parts, but I was like, what? Like, it just did not feel like me. Like, I did these couple of movies that were, like, where I was kind of in the best friend roles. For a while, there's a couple movies in which I was the best friend, and that was like, just didn't quite feel like me. Honestly, it really didn't happen until post kids that I felt like,
Well,
oh,
is
here I am.
You got to figure out what
Which
it ain't to figure out what it
Well,
is.
it's
It's
weird.
interesting.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying I had any idea that this is like how it was going to unfold.
Yeah.
But you just knew that it
But-
would
That's-
somehow, some way.
I just
And
knew
also
I was
that you
an
didn't
actor.
have anything else to do. Like, that was your thing.
yeah, I just knew I was an actor. I
Yeah.
didn't know how it was going to
It's
play out.
So this
I
is-
just there was
this-
no other option.
weird.
So
like,
it's like-
we hear a lot, right? It's like, oh, set your goals and
I'm
go
not
after
saying it was
goals.
smart. I'm just saying that was
But
how it was.
I think there's this path, and you hear a lot of it now, and it's about
mean, it
the
worked out,
journey. It's
right?
about
Yeah.
aligning to the things that you want to do, and so often, especially in America, it's like set your goals and
Yes.
go after them. And it's like, okay, if my goal is the
Sorry,
CEO,
it's not.
and there are only one per company,
Yes.
and depending on how big, the odds of me are falling short
Right.
are high, right?
Right.
So not to say it's bad to set goals, but at the same time, if you find something that you're aligned to and enjoy it, like the outcome at the end of the day almost doesn't matter, right? Like
Yes.
as long as you're doing it each and every day and not living on the streets and you can eat and feed your kids, like I'm connected and I'm aligned and I'm a part of that.
I
And
mean,
think
it
that's
just
such a cool
unfolds,
thing.
guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, I mean, with this thing that you're doing now, like, it just unfolds if you're open. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have I'm pretty, like, modest in my expectations.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't like, I have to be,
Right.
I just know what I love, and
Yeah.
it took a while for me to carve out exactly and own exactly where I feel the truest
Within that thing you love.
within that thing I
yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Some people get it right out of the gate, and
Yeah.
I'm like so impressed by that.
Yeah.
It took me a second. I always knew what I loved, but it took me a second to like carve it out. And
But even in that, I think what he's getting at, and what I think would be interesting for listeners and frankly for us,
Right.
like it's the fact that you knew what you loved and you went for it. Like, because I think a lot of people, myself, like, I've had things I loved or thought I loved, but they weren't accepted by my family or culture.
Like you talked
so
about all that generational
I went and got a corporate job
empowerment. Right.
that I have hated it, and at times currently or in other roles hated it. Like
Yes.
I completely was not me. Not only was
but
I
you got your job where? Where did you say?
corporate jobs.
Yes,
like,
yes,
in
yes, of
IT,
course.
like selling shit for
Yes.
like, so not only, so there was that phase where you were trying to figure yourself out within the thing you love.
Right.
So it's like, it didn't feel right, but you're like, okay, I'm going to get there. Like I was not feeling like who I was in a thing I didn't love. So it was just like shit on shit. So I think
Yes.
the thing that's interesting is like, you got what you loved and you held on to it. And like,
You didn't walk away
let
from it.
the early non-success, I'm air quoting, like the early non-success stop you. You were like, no, I'm gonna double down. Like, let's go take another class. Like maybe I just need to get better. I need to hone the craft. Like where did that dogged, like, I'm gonna fucking make this, where'd that come from? Or do you even know?
I mean, guys, it was not an option. I just keep saying that.
Yeah.
It was not. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
see it. I really don't even. It was not conscious. Like there was no conscious
It's kind of
choice.
cool. What's that quote you said last night about Kobe? Or like, it wasn't about Kobe. It was like,
Oh no! So I heard recently there are a lot of people who do things in life. There are a few people who do things that they love, and then there are even fewer people who are able to do something they're obsessed with. And like that was Kobe, right? like
Oh my
just
God,
pure
that memorial
obsession,
service
right?
yesterday. Forget it.
Yeah, just pure obsession, right? Like, and that's a little bit of the sense I think where you're going with this. Like,
Yes.
it's just like I've
like,
never felt obsessed with
I've never had a
anything.
feeling
Right.
where I didn't like that.
I've
I
never
almost
had that feeling.
envious of that. Like
Yeah.
I've never been so, and this is the closest thing that like
Yeah.
this has to work.
Yeah.
But that's the closest, and
But-
even with that, I'm reluctant to let go of the other
But
stuff.
that's all the generational garbage that sits there. That's
Right,
like,
all
I
the
still
baggage.
need to have, because we're there, we're anchored, and we got families, and it's like I still need
I'm
to have
financially
that job, and
stable.
I just feel this pull, and it's awful, and it just weighs. And so I'm. That's why I asked the question. 'Cause
It's
I'm
it's
super
fascinating,
envious.
like
it's,
from our
Yeah.
perspective.
Because I think
Yeah.
if I were in that same position, like me as this body, I probably would have been like, oh, I tried. And then I'm going to go get a job. And then forever gone.
Oh
Man,
yeah, I would have
wonder what
easily
could have
found a way to
happened.
give it,
Yeah.
like to fuck it up, like
Yeah.
almost on
Yeah.
purpose. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I got to go
Yeah.
get this other job.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are like that. And I think your story is inspirational, especially as you did it. You were just like, you know what? We'll figure it out. And I'm just going to keep going. And
Well, I mean, again, I don't think it's ever ever too late to ever jump into anything.
I totally agree with you on
like,
that.
there's never like,
Totally
look
agree
what
with
the
you on
fuck
that.
you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, also, like, I didn't, like, look what the fuck you're doing right now. And also, I think I didn't, I also have had, I feel like, weirdly, in my little world of just like this little weird career, like, I feel like I've had 17 different careers.
Yeah.
Like, I've had 17 different chapters in this one career. Like, I would never have thought that this last one would be in this Marvel world. Like, after Mrs. Fletcher. Like, it's been the weirdest.
What a dichotomy,
it's been
right?
the weirdest loops. Like, you just have to keep open and hungry. And also, like, just like, you just don't know what's around the corner. If you just say, like, oh, well, then, like, oh, well. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know.
Just keep going.
If, like, your heart, if you still are, like, open, then it's going to be available. Like, you just don't know what is right around the corner. And also, like, even if you have a chapter that was, you feel like took you out of whatever game you think you should have been in.
Had a couple of those.
Then fuck, who cares?
Keep
Use
going.
it.
That doesn't matter. That's old news.
Yeah.
That's old news. This is in front of you. That's also, you use it. There's stories there. And that's also part of your fabric. And you have to also honor that. You have to honor that because that's what you have. Like, that's what I always have to say that about, like, when I had, you know, I mean, this is like maybe woman's story, who cares? But when I had my son and his birth didn't go the way that I wanted to, and I mourned it for so long because I was like really down on myself that it just didn't look the way it was going to. And it's common. And I was like down on myself. And at a certain point I had to be like, whoa, this is his story too. Like, I cannot frame this in this fucking way anymore.
Never really thought about it like
like
that.
it's his arrival. And so I have to be like, that is, stop it, stop reframing it that way. Like, I had to like try to reframe it because I was like, that is his story.
So
I can't frame it in that way because otherwise it's gonna filter in.
You're gonna project that on. You're
those chapters are important.
They're important. So we really care about that, like that story, that woman's story, because like,
for
our wives, like, I see it now. Young mothers, like, there's so much fucking pressure. Like, there's so many voices saying like, this is right, this is wrong. You alluded to it earlier, like parents or anybody saying like, this is how you do it, it's not how you do it. You got to breastfeed for this long or not this long. Like, all of these things. So like, even that story though, like, that's something I've never even thought about.
Well, it's interesting because my wife.
We're so hard on ourselves.
So hard because we've talked about it. Like, she gave natural childbirth and she says it all the time. I'm so lucky I was able to do it. Right? Because
Rachel too.
To your point, so many women, just using that as an example, want to get into it, and it's like, either I can't, like, no, this isn't going to happen because you don't know what to expect, especially the first time. And then you beat yourself up when all the endorphins are gone.
So, but like, I feel like this is parent. It's life in a larger scale. But like you said, we were great, and it was really fucking hard. Like, we went on this vacation recently. It was our first vacation with our daughter before our second one came. And we were trying to go to Yosemite, and we couldn't because our daughter projectile vomited all over the fucking car. And I looked at my wife, and I was like, this fucking sucks. And I immediately felt bad because it was like a family vacation, and I'm complaining. But it really actually fucking sucks. I didn't get any sleep the night before, like all this stuff. And then like a couple hours later, we went on this hike, and our daughter's walking down this trail, and there's all these trees. I'm like, this is amazing. And it's like, they both existed
at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I feel about. I'm sorry, I don't want to walk away. But that's what it's so interesting, like that you guys both had, but that you both of your wives and both of your birth experiences. I don't know if they all have been, but have been like seemingly so. Or it sound like they were so
well. The second
gorgeous.
one, my wife had to get, like, we went in the day of, and my wife, you talk about, you know, type A and wanting everything to go to plan. Like, that's our life. Like, everything has to go to plan. Everything. It's exhausting. I love you, honey.
I love you too, honey.
I love her too.
And like
Hi,
our
honey.
second, first
Hey,
daughter
boo.
came 5 days early. She was everything. I'll tell you, respect for I still in my head still can vision both. And our second was late, and we had to go in to the doctor, and we did midwives. And the
love midwives.
Cleveland Clinic has a series of midwives, so you can
That's
still birth in the
so
hospital
rad.
and everything.
Yeah.
So you're all in a hospital, and you still get a midwife.
Yes.
And so every time we saw a doctor, it's like, here's more tests and everything. And I'm not trying to shade on doctors, but we go in, and she had to get measured because we were 4 days past her due, and her fluid was low. So we had to go in and get induced. And it was just like, it was crushing in the moment to my wife, especially because it wasn't going to plan. And we talked about it. We went to lunch and all that stuff. And then everything was fine after that. But to your point, it's like that you have to see it and then take it for what it is.
Yeah.
And everything else was just amazing from there. And like the second one just went faster. But
Well, you understand why psychedelics are huge for men because because they really don't have anything. You guys don't have anything like
nothing.
that.
There's nothing
because
that
it
compares to
is psychedelic.
I got to tell you, it's
a psychedelic
We were talking about shrooms
experience.
the other day. Like,
We were-
I want to try shroom. I've never tried. Like,
we were in the bathroom.
I do feel like just labor is psychedelic.
we were
oh
in
my
the
god, it
bathroom.
was so trippy.
We were in the bathroom.
Yeah,
and
it's trippy.
Watching my wife, like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like she went in, like she would have a contraction, like an intense one,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, it was like she could pass out the moment after. Like she was in this like peaceful, calm,
Yeah.
blissful state right after.
After it.
It was
yes.
so.
It is psychedelic.
Yeah.
we were in the bathroom, just in the shower, just relaxing and trying to. This was about our second, and my wife, who again needs control over her surroundings, just gets up and starts walking. Now she's attached to an IV. It's got Pitocin. She just starts walking to the bed. Like, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, you're going to slip. You're going to fall. It's wet everywhere. And this person who loves her just walks to the bed. And then 5 minutes later, our baby was born. Like, and it's like, I don't even know what just happened. Like the connection to that, the action, to your point. Like,
Yeah.
will never understand
Animal.
that
Yeah.
instinct.
Yeah.
It was pure, raw, everything out
Yeah,
the window.
she's
I'm
gone.
going to the bed.
Yeah, like, you're
I
just
couldn't even
gone.
keep up. Yeah.
You're gone.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite things that I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yeah.
Because, once, okay, she's at the bed, baby's born. It's like, oh, okay, that's what that was all about. In the moment, you're like, please don't trip and fall, don't slip. You're going to trip on this cord. You're going to slip on the water. Like, our doula's there. It was a thing. Yeah. But yeah, it was such an amazing experience. Yeah, totally.
Wait, so you both have
Totally.
two?
Yeah.
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 Both
my
have two girls.
God.
Yeah, two girls.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Estrogen City, USA.
That's outstanding.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Wait, so tell me why you liked Mrs. Fletcher. I want to know.
You want to know
Reverse
my
interview.
feedback?
Yeah.
No, we always like reverse questions because we're supposed to be about conversation, but they end up being interviews all the time.
But I wanna hear.
Yeah. What did I loved the honesty of it. There is, who is the actor that played your son?
Oh yeah, Jackson White.
Jackson.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
dude.
So
great.
I
That's
thought.
Peggy Segal's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from
Oh, no kidding.
Married with Children.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah,
How about
Sons
that?
of Anarchy.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, he's his own incredible actor. I should not
realize
frame
that
him
they
that
were-
way.
I-
He's his own person.
So
But
He played that role so well.
Isn't he incredible?
So there is something that, aside from the abusiveness of his sexual exploits, that was very raw and personal in the way he experienced college, because he was very alone and he was
Yeah.
very by himself and he couldn't figure out where he fit in, and he was trying to, like, his whole character arc, like, I felt very connected to it, aside
Yeah.
from and I want to be very clear, aside from the sexual component of it, just because of the nuance of what that is in his character, right? And I thought, like, Mrs. Fletcher's character arc was just fascinating to watch how you played it in particular. Like, the acting in that show was just exceptional all around. So it was really honest. There was nothing it didn't seem Hollywood in any way. Like it just felt like, oh yeah, this is a regular family. This is normal. Like this is what
Uncomfortably
people
real.
feel.
Yeah.
And it was very
Like-
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It's-
he's
it's
so
intense.
good. I
But
loved that
his
storyline when I read it.
character
Yeah.
was a big draw to the overall storyline to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was glad that they went there with it too, with him
Yeah.
in college, because you could sense that it was going to go there, and I was glad that we did.
Yeah. You didn't hold
Yeah.
back. No, it was.
Yeah.
It was a really just a good show. Mm-hmm. You know, and what sucks for me was like I've been unhealthily attached to TV my whole life. Mm-hmm. I'm an only child. Parents divorced when I was young. Just TV was my thing.
Was
And
your
as I grew
babysitter?
up,
Yeah.
what I've realized is it gets in the way of doing a lot of things that I like to do. And so I've had so many TV shows that I used to watch and DVR, and it's like boom. So I've been cutting them out. I haven't had any new TV shows for 2 years, and then Miss Fletcher came, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. So it was a new season, and I was like, oh, it's only one season. This is perfect. So
No, I love
but now if you
Unlimited
have
these days, you guys.
It's only one
I really
season,
do.
so I'm good with it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was outstanding. I loved it. The end was just, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have loved to have seen what happened like that next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think we were pretty satisfied.
You're really like, I want to, what? And then it's like, oh, but no, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it brought up
Yeah.
a lot of interesting. That's why I was excited to do it, or I was excited to investigate those things, because I think it's so. It just brought up, in their similar stories. I thought it just brought up such interesting, in their divergent paths, where they connected was so interesting to me in terms of like the idea of internet porn.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a launching point was just so
Yeah.
interesting to me. Just
Yeah.
especially as having a 13-year-old and
Yeah.
can't
The
even think
psychological negative sides to it, the
it's what
explorative sides to it,
consent,
what it does.
intimacy,
Yeah, totally.
what it is, just all of that stuff. The access.
Yeah.
There's this amazing podcast also called The Butterfly Effect. I don't know if you guys have listened to it. It's John Ronson.
Yeah, I've heard an episode. It's
Yeah.
good.
It's just interesting
Yeah.
about the basically it's about the birth, like what RedTube and all that crap has done, like,
And it's so accessible.
but just like the the accessibility
Yeah.
of it and what that's done. Like
all
it's
of it,
so
yeah.
different from
So I was an engineer, and my communications professor, like 400 something class, we're studying like internet protocols and like how this shit works from a technical standpoint. But he's like, so what's the biggest driver of internet innovation?
Porn.
And we were like military, and he's like, close. It's porn.
Yeah, it is.
Are
porn.
you serious?
Military is like right
totally.
there from
I mean,
development
credit
st-
cards.
But
I
yeah.
mean, I don't. There's the movie that's all about the development of credit card transactions, all to transact porn. Yeah, that's how that all started. Yeah.
Oh,
in the near future, it'll probably be like weed will probably be up there once banks figure out how to like for it to be when it's federally legal. Like that'll probably be a big driver for all kinds of
totally.
things. Yeah.
All those hedonistic.
Well, hedonistic, but then like
indulgences.
if you grew up like us, like it
Yeah,
was
well, that's
forbidden
why-
fruit.
That's why.
Yeah,
I
Right,
say
exactly.
hedonism.
Yeah.
That's why. I
Which
say
drives people
hedonistic.
more into it.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
Oh my god, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just joking about how it would be like, that's why, like, one of the reasons why we would babysit, my friends and I, is because we would be like, bye, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, and then we would, like, feed the kids, put them down, and then immediately go digging in Dad's closet.
Oh,
my
to find
God.
the magazines
Yes!
and the DVDs.
And the DVDs,
I had my
honey, it was
VHS.
VHS.
I had my
I'm sorry.
VHS.
And then we would have to
forgot.
be kind, rewind, and then
Yeah.
just put it back exactly
Yeah.
where it was.
Speaking of
so
acting, you
ashamed
did
of it.
something twice. You referred to yourself as an actor, and actor, actress.
So
Is there a delineation
Can
in
I-
your mind, or is that
For me, I always just say actor.
Yeah,
Actress, just I don't like the sound of it, but I don't mind it. I just always say actor.
yeah. Just curious. I mean, it's not a real big thing. I just noticed it.
so
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know why. I always say actor.
Yeah.
Now I have food in my mouth. Sorry, everybody.
it's all good. Well,
No.
we have-
You say you're welcome.
So there are.
You're welcome.
So there are about 110 other things I want to ask you.
Okay, get into 'em.
But we only have 5 minutes left.
I'll just get into them.
Are you sure? Okay. So there's one in particular thing that I'm very, very intrigued about your decision, and like, it's funny. Early in the ages of More in Common, like we got a lot. You need to talk to more women, right? We got that a lot, and now we do. And so I'm very interested in promoting that track of positivity, because there's a point in your career where you decided to have kids, and you were 35,
Yeah.
knowing that, or at least perceiving that it might change wherever your career is going, especially in Hollywood. Like, how did you ultimately make that decision and stick to it?
Well, I was working on a show called Crossing Jordan at the time, which was like, again, it was like in that chapter that was like, I was incredibly grateful, loved all those people so much. Creatively, I was like not maybe the most fulfilled. But Jesus Christ, I was so grateful. I certainly, we were ready, but I was certainly knew that it was I had all that like societal crap, but I also knew I was 35, and I also didn't want to like fuck around with waiting. And I mean, you're already called a geriatric mother at 35.
My wife started, she was 36 when we had our first.
Yeah, which is so crazy, because you are really taught a bill of goods.
Yeah.
Like, women are really taught, like,
Oh, totally.
like I remember doing press for this movie Private Life, which is all about IVF, and it is like this weird second wave feminism of like, you're taught like you can have it all, you can put off your biology, you're in control of your biology, wait until you can wait till whenever you can have kids, like women are, and you're like, no, you're actually not,
Right.
and
No.
and like all these companies paying for women to have IVF, which is like, or to freeze their eggs, which is like, the chances, I mean, it's all so crazy because it's all like, it's not a guarantee anyway.
From a biological standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, like I knew, I didn't, again, it's one of those things that we were talking about before. Like, I didn't know on the other side of having kids was going to be the richest, most creative chapter of my life.
Right.
I had no idea. I cried when I found out I was pregnant, even though I knew it was I had no idea that it was going to be this amazing chapter on the other side. And that's so fucking sad.
Yeah.
But it's also I'm so psyched to say on the other side
Yeah.
that it's been the most like creatively fulfilling. And I wish I could like I want to take so many young women, young actors that think that they have to wait or think that they can't or think that they don't have to,
that's
and
why I asked
just
the
shake them
question.
by the shoulders and be like, oh my God, it's actually like you can be there's so much stories to be told after you have children. Like, it doesn't end. It doesn't mean that you're not
character
sexual.
arc in your own
It doesn't
life,
mean that you're not, that you're on the frickin' put back on the shelf. It doesn't mean that you're not like a viable, it doesn't mean you're invisible.
So did that,
Like, you're still an amazing human woman that has so many stories to say. It just drives me crazy that there's like an invisibility shield that goes down once you become a mother.
Well, there are,
like, it's
like-
just makes me fucking mad.
those things you said are true,
Yes.
Right.
but it's also true that women do get shelved after having children.
Well, I'm saying it
like,
shouldn't
did you have
be.
to manage it? Or like, how did you?
No, I'm telling you, it all goes back to what we were
Is it
saying.
all like?
No, I'm just saying the universe, it just happened. Weirdly, I happened to step
You made
into
it
a
happen.
moment. I didn't make anything
You
happen.
made it happen.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying I didn't
Like-
do anything. I just stepped into a moment where it was all of a sudden weirdly okay to be like, where weirdly there was some women out there that were like, oh, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
You like messy weirdo.
I think you're more.
like, I think
more of a force than you give yourself credit for.
You
Oh,
have
I don't
such
know.
a fan club,
Like-
it's ridiculous.
I just think I
The
just
fact-
happened to walk into a
but
moment.
Here's the thing, though. Like, everything you just said is true. It's maddening. It's ridiculous, and it's rooted in the history of the patriarchy that is the world, not just America.
Yeah.
Yet you still did it, and the question is really like, how did you reconcile that in making that decision? Because I think that's what, as much as you came out on the other side better for it, like that's the point that everybody grapples with, right? Like, and it's across all professions, right? Like my wife is super ambitious, like loves the corporate world, wants to just keep going.
How old are your kids?
3 and 1. You know, she just turned 40
babies
this year, right? So like,
she always after it. Like
she
still
always wanted to have kids, but she still knows there's that. It's that I don't know what's on the other side, so I'm afraid. Even though, especially today, we can do it. So how did you reconcile making that decision?
Well, I mean, it is again like it's just the horrible like. It's just the horrible like conundrum of our of a woman's biology is that like her chief money making years happen to be her most fertile, or her not even money making, like her chief like creative career building like most like in it's her third, like it just sucks that it happens to coincide that way.
It's awful. Yeah,
it's just a bummer.
Yeah, and
so I'm not gonna say in any way that and also then you want to be, then now I'm in my, I've got like, now I'm grappling with, in my mid 40s, my kids are like teens and 10, and it turns out they need you more the older they get. Didn't know that. You guys have that to look, turns out they need you more the older they get to be around.
Sweet.
And so, and all of a sudden I have like these opportunities that are out of town, and now I'm in a position of like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And so, it never stops. I don't think that's particular to a gender. It's just that's what it is to be a working parent.
Yeah. Especially when you
can't make it. Most people don't have those decisions. Just have to work.
Yeah.
So, there's no decision to be made. But for in this particular creative life, and in telling stories about it, that's just like the work that I am in telling stories about it. I do find that I've just kind of like walked. I'm going to keep saying it because I really don't have any other answer for it.
Stumble into
and I just feel like I walked. It's not like I made a conscious decision to be like, oh, I'm going to like show all of myself in this personhood at this age in this thing. Like, I'm not going to be like a political statement. Like, I'm not going to make this huge, like, this is just the stories I'm interested in telling that are being offered to me right now that are the most interesting happen to be these things.
Luck is opportunity meets preparation, right? Like,
that's how I define it.
At the end of the day. Yeah.
I don't know that it's that
I'm not
sad.
saying like, but the people would say, "Oh, so no, it's like you prepared, you worked really hard, and the opportunity showed up.
You just happened to be there."
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that it's like really.
I don't think it's you happen to be there. It's like you did the work.
Well, that's opportunity.
But let me tell you, it's been women film. But I don't mean to like
Jill Soloway.
It's Jill, it's Tamara Jenkins, it's like a lot of women, Nicole Hollis-Center, like it's women at this who were able to be like, oh.
Yeah, peel it back.
Right,
but
now it's
important.
shifting. Now it's shifting because those women have afforded me those opportunities to be seen.
Yeah.
But that chapter post babies that got me into this like next whatever.
Yeah.
I guess like, whatever movement of my whatever.
Are you having a hard time saying like it's good? Like your career is good right now.
But
it's that Catholic guilt. I can't be too braggadocious
it's
about
Midwest.
it.
That's Midwest.
Yeah, it is totally.
Definitely
I need to be
Midwest.
humble for
Midwest.
sure.
I can't. No, embarrasses the hell out of me.
I totally get it. Yeah,
can't
like I can't say things are good right now.
No, I can't do it.
It's like okay, they're okay.
No.
Like they're okay.
I'm so embarrassed.
Totally.
But it's women.
Yeah.
But it's no small thing that it's the women who've been like, I want to see all of you. I can see. It's a bunch of men I've worked with recently that I'm like, ugh, like I've got this thing that I'm really excited about that's coming out that, with this guy Derek Cianfrance who did that Blue Valentine, this thing with Mark Ruffalo that's going to be really rad, but like but that first like post kids was all women.
Yeah.
That were like,
that saw it.
So that's no small thing.
Yeah. So you wanted to say.
Well, I was
and
just saying, like,
we're
I
at
don't
5:21,
know that
so
it was horrible that you mourned.
2:21.
I was like 5:21.
Yeah, my clock's on
Gonna
Eastern
shit
time.
myself. My kid's just been standing on a corner.
Were we
It's
looking
all
for the
about
payphone?
motherhood.
Hey,
He's like 1-800
Just
collect.
doing
I'm
a
still here.
podcast.
Mom, I'm here.
Sorry, cuties.
Hang on.
Mommy was doing a podcast.
A what?
Is that like TikTok?
You TikToking right now? Is you when you found out you're pregnant, you said you mourned or you cried, and like I don't know. You said how horrible is that? I don't know that it's horrible because like through our lives
Yeah.
there are these mini
Yeah.
deaths
Yeah.
of like our personality, who we were, who we thought we were,
Yeah.
who we're going to be, and as for me, like I think it was actually far more unhealthy for me that I didn't respect who I was and who I'm becoming. And I think that's caused more issues for me than just being like honest about it. Like I'm sad that this is going to change.
Yeah.
Like it's okay.
Yeah. No, for
That's
sure.
interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it goes back to that duality feeling that you were talking about with the vacation that you had,
Yeah.
where you can hold all of those things at once,
I've
like
been
all
so
the
mad
time.
at my
Like
daughter for
I can,
not sleeping, you know, and it's just like, and then you feel so
yeah, that you can
guilty
hold
afterwards,
so
like,
many
yeah,
things
so
at once
many, yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like that is, we forget. Like we work on such a binary all the time, but that you can hold. That you can hold all of that at once,
it all be true.
and
Schrodinger's
it's all
cat.
true. Yeah.
The cat is both alive and dead if you can't
goodness.
open the box.
No, it's true, but it's true.
Not
But
to talk about dead cats.
my man likes to drop quantum physics
I
references.
do. I don't.
For
I'm
basic
told
examples.
I shouldn't
It's my
anymore.
favorite.
And like everybody understands.
No, but it is so true. Like that you can hold, that all of it's true. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember I burst. I was working for my daughter when I found out I was pregnant with her. Yeah. Anyway, I've told this, but I was doing a night shoot and I went to a Starbucks. And I was like, ordered a latte, and then I was like, oh, you better make it a decaf. And I burst into tears because I remembered that I
Couldn't drink coffee.
couldn't have caffeine. But it was like, just it hits you like, yeah, all at once. That you can hold like, yeah, all of it. Parenthood and it's a crazy gift, and it's also, like all of it. I mean, I just saw that horror movie, The Babadook, again recently, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but
I've not
it's
seen
so
Babadook. I want to.
fucking
Let's
good.
watch
good?
it tonight. Let's watch it tonight.
It's so terrifying, and this performance is
perfect.
one of my favorite of all time.
Babadook.
It's that talk about it is like that feeling that because it just I saw it with Leonard actually. Because he's into watching horror films, so I'm going to go in a second. But it just talking about this holding a couple things at once, because it's like loving being a parent, and also like this weird, the terror of voicing the apathy of being a parent out loud. Just like
'Cause that
not
makes you
being
just
able
a
to say it,
terrible-
like you don't want to be.
Makes
It's
you a
just
terrible
like
person.
hold the because the Babadook really is that like
Who is the
terror of
Babadook?
saying like I don't want to be a parent.
Yeah.
And just like never being able to say that out loud, but
That's
it's so
what-
good. It's so scary.
I can't wait to see this.
Oh, it's so scary. Like you,
know,
can never
like,
say that out loud, but like
shit
that everybody
that
says
attaches
it.
to stuff like that. That's like so real.
Real.
That and everybody's sitting there like I still can't say it.
You can't
But, like,
say it. Like if everyone could really say that, like because everyone feels it, but like every once in a while, just be like, I don't want to be a parent. As much as I love my kids,
adulting, and I guess that's why
Sometimes-
people don't tell you how fucking hard it is.
I know.
Because then you'd have to make a real choice.
Yes.
Like, do I really want to
That
do
sometimes it is like as much as you do anything, give anything, bleed out for them. Like I would literally bleed out
I'll
for my
take
children.
a bullet, but I'm like,
But sometimes that little deep voice inside that's just like the Babadook.
I just want to be alone again. I want to just sleep.
Want
I
to
just
sit with the Times and have some brunch. Yes. You guys, this was the best. This was the best.